established a quorum. I am going to go ahead and call the Environmental Advisory Board October 7th special meeting to order. We have two presentations for us tonight. First up will be Pit Stop for the Birds. Okay, thank you. Okay, and I need like a wheel on my hand on the wheel for this. Okay. Woo! Sorry.
That's quick.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for convening on an off day for this special session. I really appreciate it. My name is Sadie Walters, and I'm the executive director of a new nonprofit based in Raleigh called Pit Stop for the Birds. And we're focused on building EV infrastructure that works for people and nature. And wanted to talk with you all about an opportunity here in Apex. So while we're here today, the purpose of this presentation is to share the vision for the Apex Iona Rechargery Pit Stop pilot. That's a mouthful, I know. But it's a model that connects EV infrastructure, stormwater management, and bird habitat restoration. And I wanted to explore the opportunities to also collaborate with Trees for the Triangle and you here at the EAB. So we're seeking insight and partnership and support to position Apex as a leader in ecological design and community stewardship. So the mission of Pit Stop for the Birds is to simply restore the joy of living with songbirds by integrating migratory bird ecologies with human infrastructure. And as you may be aware, birds need our help, and they need it badly. You can see this graph here shows the very steep decline that is just continuing to go downwards. We've lost about a third of all of our birds in less than one human lifetime. And aside from being lovely, friends to walk amongst in the forest or when you're just stepping outside your door, they also have a wide swath of ecological benefits that they provide for us. For instance, they consume 500 tons of insects a year in North America, and they pollinate 8,000 species of plants. So we need them. Without them, we won't do very well. So one of the things I wanted to draw your attention to was the transportation corridors of birds, otherwise known as flyways. And this map was created by National Audubon Society using data sets from all over. All different kinds of organizations gave their data to create this really phenomenal and interactive map. This is just a snapshot to show you these corridors that they're traveling. And they're doing this twice a year, a couple hundred to a couple thousand miles twice a year. And they do this travel over the span of a few weeks. And on their journey, they need food. And one of the leading causes of their death, there's a few things. Loss of nesting habitat is a big one. And another one that's right up top is starving while they're traveling, and so not finding food during their travels. So I wanted to point you to another map, and these are our transportation corridors. And this is a night view, so you can see how dense they are, and trying to imagine these birds flying at night looking for food, traveling over our corridors that present food deserts for the birds. So now here I've overlaid maps, and I've switched the base map, the transportation, our corridor map, to show you actually one that was produced by the DOT. These are the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Priority Networks, and you may be aware that NEVI funding was frozen, but it's been reopened. That's happened, I guess, 2 months ago. So things are in a lot of flux there, but NEVI funds are back. But I wanted to just show you something that I find phenomenal. When you look at this map and you can see the priority zones for providing electric vehicle charging stations, you can see that there's a density that matches the bird travel. And this is a really fun kind of snapshot just to kind of let's zoom out a little bit in time scale, and let's think about how roads were formed and who first walked the roads that we now drive on. And that was game, that was wildlife. And then that was horses and buggies and then cars. And okay, game walks, birds fly, but they travel very similar places because they're there because of the resources that are available to them. So our transportation corridors that we prioritize were theirs first. And while we're in this state of flux of while we're redefining what it means to travel, we're changing over to EVs largely. You can see this graph from 2014 to 2025. This data is fresh off the press data. We're just shooting upwards in our transition to electric vehicles. This particular graph shows the fast charging ports adoption in the Southeast. And so as we're having this change of how we travel, and when we stop to get refueled, we're no longer spending 10 minutes, 5 minutes, a quick, like maybe go to the bathroom. We're spending 15 to 45 minutes. We have an opportunity for an experience. We have an opportunity to make a memory. And right here in Apex, you have a really cool opportunity. And that's with the new Ayana rechargery. And already you have resident birds there. I've just captured a few. I'm sure there's more. I don't know if you can see this hand. Can you see the hand? Okay, awesome. Okay. So one of the lovely things about this site is that there's a pocket of trees right here that's protected by railroad. There's not much you can do there. And one of the things about migratory birds, when they travel, they often travel at night. And when the air is kind of smoother to travel on. And in the morning when the sun rises, they're listening for resident birds like tufted titmouse and mourning doves and Carolina wren and blue jays and cardinals. They're listening for those residents to let them know where they can stop and grab a quick bite to eat, where they can refuel and carry on their journey. So already you have a quality site that could host some migratory feasts. Another point to this site is that it sits in an impaired and high priority watershed, subbasin, the Middle Creek watershed. And so this is an area that it's important to treat runoff as much as you can to not overtax, and eventually it ends up in the Neuse River, but this is the headwaters of that particular basin. And here at this Ayana Apex rechargery, there are 2 roof areas where you can collect water from and keep them from going into overloading the stormwater catchment areas that are close by and overloading that basin. So the building itself is 2,310 square feet, and then and that's an old building, so it didn't trigger any new stormwater requirements. And then the new canopy is 3,048 square feet. So I focus just on the old building for now, but there's certainly opportunity to explore other areas. But here's what I'm proposing. I'm proposing building a small rain garden that can capture a 1-inch rain event. So about 1,400 gallons, treat about 1,400 gallons there on site. Filter the pollutants before they enter the upper Middle Creek, reduce flooding, provide native habitat for the birds and pollinators, and demonstrate how EV infrastructure can double as green infrastructure. I'm not doing this alone. I have some partners and hopefully more in the here. Root Ed is this wonderful organization that works in schools to engage middle and elementary kids in activities like creating field guides and zines and signs. And it gives these kids opportunities to research things like the needs of our birds and create really unique signage that is of this place, that represents this community. So that's one partner I'm working with on signage and kind of like marketing materials. Like Ayana already has this very cool map that you can get when you stop in that shows you where you are in Apex. And just imagine if that was done with the flair of a 5th grader from Apex. Also partnering with Urban Sustainability Solutions, and they work with high school kids and teachers. They have a program where they go into the school and they teach the teachers how to size and design stormwater management systems, and they get out there with the kids and they show the kids, hey, you can make a living doing things like green infrastructure. So the benefits for Apex: sustainability leadership. Position Apex as one of the first municipalities in the nation to integrate EV infrastructure with ecological resilience and advancing the town's goal of reducing emissions and protecting the natural environment. Another benefit is community engagement. Through Pit Stop for the Birds, Apex partners with RUDED and Urban Sustainability Solutions, local schools, and possibly even the senior center that's right there. They have a new bird group, so I think there's an opportunity to engage some seniors, which is something I'm very excited about. So for intergenerational stewardship and environmental literacy, stormwater and habitat value, so rain gardens and bioswales at the Apex Rechargery, and economic and educational impact, and highly visible pilot that embodies the peak of good living. This project supports the environmental education, builds community pride, and positions Apex as a regional leader in sustainable design and green infrastructure and innovation. So I really appreciate your attention to this presentation, and I would love if you all could offer your ideas or support for this type of project.
Thank you. It's a very innovative project. I've not ever heard of anything quite like it, and it sort of seems analogous to like the pollinator highway rest stops, only for birds at EV rechargeries. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Is Ayana on board with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. And Ayana is in sprint mode. So while I have been calling Ayana for 8 months since they announced their business, I have had some inroads there and there's interest, but I can't do it without help from Apex. So they're interested in what I see myself doing is meeting them mid-sprint with a glass of water and saying like, keep going, I'm gonna help this be even better. But we need their support too, so just making it a palatable investment for them as their mid-sprint. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned the wooded area that was sort of adjacent to the railroad tracks. Did they own that parcel as well?
No, that's city, or sorry, town, excuse me.
That's town, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, so there would be an opportunity to sort of get in there and inventory the plants and trees and see if that could be improved for birds as well, potentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does Diana own that big patch of bamboo that's behind them? Or is that the railroad?
I think that's the railroad's easement there. Yeah, and so that's part of the reason I didn't touch the area that's near the canopy because of the pressure, the bamboo pressure is I'm just not, I wanted to go for the easier win. It's an easy win to do a rain garden next. Sure. I mean, we'd have to I'm sure it's a lot of road bonds, so it would be a whole exercise in removing that and replacing it with soil that can handle rain. Yeah.
Are you going to have feeders for the birds, or is that you want to go all the natural?
The Pit Stop model is plant-based, but if there is if the seniors want to be involved and have kind of I think there's a potential for a bird walk that could be in these field guides or zines, and the senior bird group I think could manage, based on what I've heard from them, they could manage a bird feeder kind of installation. Yeah.
Are you mostly interested in the migratory birds or the ones that also they're here year-round?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it takes all of them, and that's the interspecies associations that they have. So while a migrant might find an island that has some spice bush and get some good fat and sugar for their travels, they're more likely to find it if a resident bird already lives there and is singing at dawn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, migratory birds in this situation don't need nest boxes or anything. We have a lot of pocket breeders here. Would you
Yeah.
have nest boxes?
Oh, well, nest boxes are wonderful, again, because the resident birds, they're a part of the equation for success. So and that's why that pocket of forest is so appealing, because that's one that could support. I mean, I showed you the list of resident birds that I found in just a short period of time. I guess that was in August. It was a hot day, and they were still going to town out there. So, yeah. Yeah.
I have a question about this on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Just in the meantime, I think the Iona project seems a little bit bigger right now than at least what the town might be able to help with. But like the town, we have our own EV charging spots. It's only like 1 or 2 parking spaces, scattered around town. But would there be an availability to do something like on an even smaller scale, or like try to plant natives around just those, few spots?
Yeah, there is. That's not a priority I'm focused on right now, but it is something that is down the line for me for sure, because well, it may be. I'm based in Raleigh, like I said, and so I have a pilot going in Raleigh, and now Raleigh is saying, okay, well, what about more? And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the municipal level model for this? And so I'm dabbling in that gently and with Raleigh so far. Carrie's also spoken interest. Apex, I would love to work with y'all on that too. Because one of the primary goals of Pit Stop is to prevent extinction, I have to figure out how to go fast. And so that's why I'm hitching my wagon to these industry leaders. So one of the things that I've thought of that possibly Apex could support with is stormwater funds that are DEQ funds, and that might be a way that those might be available. There might be some funds available to allocate for this rain garden. Yeah.
Where's the pilot in Raleigh?
Walnut Creek Wetland Park, so it's at a public park. Yeah. And there we're also piloting the Adaptive Pit Stop program, so that's more of my educational program. So my background is in environmental education, and then which I was working to teach adults about the value of native plants, and then got into the butterfly highways and ended up growing for the DOT for a long time. And then found my way into landscape architecture and evidence-based design. How do you influence people's behavior? And anyhow, all that to say, at Walnut Creek Wetland, I'm piloting the Adaptive Pit Stop program, which is teaching stewardship skills to high school kids through my lens. It's a little bit separate than the urban sustainability stewards, which are focused on how do you build the thing, and they do a fabulous job, and they know what they're doing. And I'm kind of focusing more on soft skills of how do you understand the language of what's happening in the environment. Yeah.
How are you getting your funding? Are there state grants, grant writers writing grants, stuff like that, or like how are you generally getting your funding?
That's a great question, and it's a puzzle I'm still trying to unfurl and untangle. I've gotten some Family Foundation grants, a number of those that are just kind of helping me get off the ground. So I just started a nonprofit this summer, so that's brand new. Here we go, giddy up. And applying for grants all the time and figuring out the fundraising piece. So this is this very new stage. It's just me, and I have a vision for more than me. And yeah.
Yeah, I know that there are state grants in many states. I'm not even sure about North Carolina for the EV part of it.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm doing that in Connecticut. We're laying out where the next generation of these EV charging stations is going to go, and it's state funded.
Yeah.
Imagine there are some funding vehicles available. I just don't know what they are.
Yeah, I am in conversation with NCDOT quite a bit, and so I just haven't found the right avenue for us to link up on that. But that, you're right, there are state funds for, especially now that the NEVI funds have been re-released. Yeah, thank you for pointing to that.
I was more wondering if you knew, because, yeah, it's,
Yeah,
grant
yeah,
writing is a,
an art.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm fortunate to have some very skilled volunteers that are helping me with some grant writing. So that's, yeah.
Has DOT shown any interest in, you know, there are certain requirements about the placement for the
Yes.
alternative vehicle corridors, how far they have to be from the highway, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Have they shown any interest in making this sort of a soft requirement or something like you're proposing as a soft requirement for those locations?
It's. I think they're ready. They will be more inclined to respond with enthusiasm once they see it shown, once they see it proven. And so that, for me, is, you know, operating with in my own city and with an industry leader, so that I can prove the concept. This works. Now let's go. So right now I'm in the proof of concept phase, and so that's with one with the city of Raleigh and one with, hopefully, with Iona. And I do have a good sense that if it's palatable, they'll say, okay, fine, give me the water.
Yeah, because it also sort of reminds me of, there is that DOT rest area on I-40 right before you go up the escarpment. That
Yes.
is sort of a native planting one. So they've already done sort of, you know, some kind of native, it's on their radar a little bit. And I don't know if that was led by the division or central DOT or.
Yeah, I don't know who led that, but sadly, we have laws that don't disallow EV charging
Yeah.
at these rest areas.
Yeah.
So until we get that one figured out.
Yeah, I was just more thinking like at least somebody at some point was accepting of sort of this concept of having this kind of thing for pollinators or at a rest area.
Yeah.
And these EV charging stations are sort of rest areas.
Yeah.
Given how long folks have to stay there while their cars charge.
It's a good marriage. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah.
And maybe I missed it. Like, why focus on just the EV charging areas? I understand that, you know, the priority infrastructure and the overlap with the migratory patterns and all that, but couldn't we do this anywhere in town?
Yes, the focus on EVs is because of the legibility of the story. So one of the primary reasons that we're seeing environmental problems is a loss of environmental literacy and understanding what's going on in the outside world. And so the targeting of the EV stormwater management as the opportunity zone is because you have people that are traveling that are stuck for 30 minutes and have an opportunity to think, wow, I'm traveling the same corridor as birds, and just have an aha moment that might influence behaviors.
Okay. And regarding your ask, right? Because the garden that you're proposing is not on town property, right? So that's something I expect you're asking Iona to contribute.
Yes.
Then what are you looking for from the town? So would a garden like this require stormwater infrastructure? Does it need drainage and piping underneath, right? Or is it simply, helping with the construction? Or so can you clarify the ask from the town a little bit for me?
Yeah, the ask is to allocate some of the state funds for stormwater management that the town gets, to allocate those for this storm feature.
But what would be involved in building a storm feature? I'm just not familiar with them.
Oh, sure. Okay. So the area that I'm proposing as a rain garden is about 500 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
And we would need to dig out a lot of that. That's old road bond that's very compacted. So removing that soil with a digger and designing it with the Urban Sustainability Solutions or another student team, and doing the install with a student team. And so that's bringing in soils that perk well, that's bringing in plants, and possibly adjusting some drainage. There will be a perk test that needs to happen at some point, and that will determine what sort of under rain garden infrastructure might be needed, and that would elevate the cost.
Okay. Do you have a sense based on what you think you know, right? Like
Yeah.
what kind of dollars are we talking about?
75,000 to 100,000.
And then last thing I have is more a comment. I think that little triangle wedge shape where the trees are is actually CSX property. Like we own the water tower, but that property is kind of bifurcated, and CSX owns that little wedge, like where the railroads come together. So
Okay, thank you.
it's not going to make the trees go away any different, but
Yeah, yeah.
just for clarity.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Do you think
For long-term running this program, after you get it developed, what's your vision for that? Or would you consider taking and educating the Parks and Rec Department to
Yeah,
flow into it? I mean, it seems to me that it's kind of something that should be on their handle.
yeah. So, okay. That long-term management of these sites is a key component to their success. And that is something I'm working on figuring that out. In the city of Raleigh, they just started a green stormwater infrastructure group. And so I'm fortunate in that there is a group that's trained on native plants and on what to keep and what to weed and that sort of thing. But part of the Adopt a Pit Stop program is teaching kids, then this could be transferred over into a maintenance crew. But what I'm doing right now is creating a curriculum to teach youngsters how to steward a small patch of land. Yeah. But it is a priority piece for how this works long term, and it's not figured out entirely yet. Yeah.
Well, in Apex, the Apex Youth Council works with our volunteer coordinator, and they actually manage and take care of our pollinator garden at Apex Nature Park. So that could be a good integration.
Yeah.
And our volunteer coordinator is Ellison Lambert. I can send you her contact info as well.
Thank you, Nora. That's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Yeah.
any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, Sadie. This is fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Great questions. Thank you for all your questions.
All right. So next up, we have Trees for the Triangle.
I was doing tree assessments today, so I'm dressed for that. Not dressed for this air conditioning.
There we go. Alright, you should be able to just slide through.
I'll probably just use the arrows, right?
Yeah.
Sweet deal. Thank you, Nora. All right. This feels very official, but let's not have it feel so official. It's more of a brainstorm and introduction to who we are. Our goal really is to plant some seeds so that you all can think about what could collaboration look like. I really loved what Sadie shared, and I think there is room for collaboration. We could potentially feed 2 birds with 1 scone. We don't need to kill any more. They're doing that already. So you're all probably very well aware as the Environmental Advisory Board that we're losing trees like crazy, faster than we can plant them. And Wake County did a canopy assessment, and they showed really significant losses. I've highlighted here where Apex is. You can see red is greater than 10% loss, that deep orange 5 to 10%, yellow 0 to 5%, and there's a lot of yellow, orange, and red going on down in Apex. Trees for the Triangle, we're a nonprofit. Around the Triangle, you've got basically 2 dedicated tree planting nonprofits. We Plant It Forward, who we know very well, and us, Trees for the Triangle. There's Project Pando, which gives away tiny tree seedlings that they grow off of their big umbrella leaf and limb. And then there is a tree farm forester who named Clay, and it's just sort of his passion project with his daughter. They give away free trees. So there's just a few of us out there. We probably need more of us out there. But our mission at Trees for the Triangle is to improve the social and ecological resilience of the Triangle through the planting of native trees. We exclusively do native trees. We use private and public partnerships to identify these spaces, and we use volunteers to do most of our plantings. So we were established in 2017. Up until this year, it was just Dave, our executive director, who started running it out of the trunk of his car after working in Raleigh neighborhoods and had slowly grown. And now we have 4 people on staff with plans to add 2 more next year. And one of them is part-time, just all they do is site assessments and tree planting so that we can try and catch up because we're kind of on a backlog now of people who've requested trees. We have 2 main programs. So our whole goal is trying to plant trees. We have 2 ways that we do this. One is a pay-what-you-can residential model. And the idea of pay-what-you-can is because equity is a huge value for us. It's one of our treethos, as we say. Most of the time you'll find heat islands or areas where there's not a lot of trees, really high temperatures, poor stormwater management, are also those same areas that maybe were redlined or previously had policies that have just continued to oppress these people. And so we try and make it more accessible to them because they tend to be lower on the socioeconomic scale by doing pay what you can. So maybe our friends in Cary can pay a little higher, and some of our friends in Southeast Raleigh don't maybe have the green to cover their yards in green. We also do a Shade for Schools program. This is our second main program. We're doing a pilot this year in 2 counties, Wake County and Orange County. The idea is we work with 20 schools. We're probably going to hit over that in Wake County. We're still getting started in Orange County. And the idea is to do 200 trees planted on site at these schools with about 2,000 tree seedlings given to students to promote stewardship of trees and the environment.
May I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
What size trees do you talk about when?
We do, yes, great question. We found, one, if you do it too small, the lawnmowers don't see it and they go straight over it and the deers will eat it. We can't afford to go too big because we just can't afford that type of equipment. But people also want to feel like they're getting a tree. So 7-gallon is kind of the sweet spot where it feels like a tree. We put a little tree guard on the bottom, and every tree we plant, we do soil amendment. We get free compost from Compost Now. And we also do mulching properly with the donuts, no volcanoes. So we do all the planting with proper techniques, and then we leave little tree care guides for watering and proper mulching for residents, and we trust them to maintain those. Maybe as we grow in our staff, we can have the capacity to do more long-term maintenance of trees, but we do offer a free tree replacement in perpetuity for anyone that maybe forgets about their tree.
Cary seems to do it in, I thought they were doing 5-gallon size. It's easier.
Yeah, they're definitely smaller.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
And I think they're just giving them away to people, drive-bys.
Yeah, we've done a few of those too.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no reason you can't do 5, if that's what you want to do. We like the 7 because it's big enough that the deer just can't quite get to it. Yeah.
I was looking at free containers and from landscapers, and they seem to have a lot of 5 gallons, not so many 7s, but
Oh, yeah.
just my thought.
Man, you could probably donate those too. I'll put you in touch with Clay because he just collects the seeds, and they'll just grow them. And so I'm sure he could use tons of those. But
Yeah, they'll give them to you now.
yeah, there's tons of them.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Cool. That's a good suggestion. There you go. Ideating already. In addition to these 2 main programs, we do smaller projects year-round. So maybe you live in a neighborhood and you guys want to do a big neighborhood planting day. Maybe you work for an organization that wants to do a volunteer day. We'll do like corporate events, volunteerism, things like that. We do tree giveaways. We did our first drive-through tree giveaway, sponsored by Erie Insurance just a few months back. That was a big success. I'll share more about some other things we do in this slide. So the 2 main programs I just shared. Some other side projects I'll share. We have many partners now that we've been around for about 8 years. Orange County, Wake County Public School System, Orange County Public School System, We're also kind of trailblazing. This was really fun. We table at lots of events, festivals, and different things. So we meet a lot of cool people. And just a couple of months ago, somebody that worked with McKee Homes came up and was like, you know, these builders and developers, we're kind of cutting down all of our trees, and it makes me really sad because I love trees, man. I'm a hippie. So they got a meeting for us to go in there, and we're partnering with McKee Homes, and we're going to be planting tons of trees and perhaps even a longleaf pine savanna, which is an endangered tree because we don't burn as much as we used to. So they're kind of trailblazing too as builders and developers in this partnership for us to plant more native trees and bring awareness to environmentalism. They're also helping, we're emailing our friends at Sierra Club because they know the politicians to talk about different policies that they might put in place. Because it turns out builders aren't really bad guys. They don't want to plant trees in the summer where most of them die. So they had some really good ideas themselves about how we could promote better tree stewardship in development. And I've passed along some of those recommendations to Sierra Club, who is posing them to some of the politicians, which is cool. So those are just some of the random stories that happen as you meet people at events. But you can see a list of people we partner with. So the Shade for Schools right now, I'll just answer the question that you're maybe going to ask about funding, is Arbor Day Foundation is funding one of our Shade for Schools programs through the Truist Foundation, Truist Bank, one of those. And we also are working with, who's the other one, Dave? Orange County, thank you. You sent it to my brain. Orange County is sponsoring the other one. Orange County also subcontracted us to do residential tree planting because they did a heat island mapping study. And they identified all these addresses and they sent them postcards and free tree flyers. And that's where I was today. That's why I'm wearing my assessment outfit. And I was talking to homeowners about getting them free trees, which is great. Who doesn't love free trees? And then something really cool is in Cary. So some of our founding board members, they live in Cary. They're very active people. We have a Cary tree archive. That's Trees for the Triangle. We have a hardwood section. We have a pollinator garden. We have a native fruit nut section. We have a longleaf pine savanna. And we even have a Memorial Hill. And then we have a Descendants, where it's like trees from famous trees, you know, like the Oklahoma bombing or the 9/11 crash site, the tree at UNC, the tulip poplar. So we've got a few of those growing too. Our goal would be to get our tree archives in like every municipality across the triangle. That would be really beautiful. We're talking to someone in Apex. Nora knows. Apparently it's not technically in the town of Apex, but it does have an Apex address. So hopefully we can get another archive up close to you guys here pretty soon. And then because we have the archive, we also do lots of events there. Arbor Day plantings. We're partnering with Wake Audubon? Or just Audubon Society? Wake Audubon. We're partnering with Wake Audubon to do more bird promotion stuff in our archive. And we've noticed actually there's a birder, big bird fanatic that lives there. And since the archive has existed, he's been tracking all the birds. And it's just been growing over the years. Now it's 6 years old, the archive. I think there's over 120 birds that have been identified there, which is cool. So we're going to partner with Wake Audubon to do some bird boxes, maybe bat boxes, some chimney sweep towers. That's going to be really fun. And then the Environmental Symposium. I said happening now because this was last month. I was ready for last month for you guys. But we are finished with it now. But we just went to your Halle Cultural Center today to tour because Lisa is excited about maybe us doing our environmental symposium here in the town of Apex next year, which would be really awesome. Our environmental symposium is a 4-part lecture series where we invite speakers from diverse backgrounds, various environmental topics, and we host them at some place. And there's a musical opener, and then they speak, and it's good interaction with the community and crowd, and people get to learn about environmentalism. So that's something that we host. I think that's a good overview. I feel like there's probably more little one-offs that I've missed, but I think you get kind of the basic idea. So really, what can we grow together? I've shared a lot, again, mostly to plant seeds. There's no target project that I have in mind, But now that you know that there are a few of us nonprofit tree planters out there, then when the opportunities arise, maybe you need more trees after you do your IANA site assessment and you need these native trees to be planted, you know who to call. So yeah, I guess open for ideas or questions.
Thank you. You all do an amazing amount of work, it sounds like, with just a few of you.
We're very lean
Yeah.
thinking. We do a lot of Lean Six Sigma and operational stuff. Yeah.
Have you kept track of exactly how many trees you've planted or given away? Like, do you know how many thousands that might be?
We do have a spreadsheet. Do I have the number memorized? Have I updated it this week? No. It is over 2,000 planted and 3,000 if you include seedlings and potted trees given away.
Wow.
So I think we're around the 2,200 and 3,300 for those two numbers.
And this year our goal is 1,200. Our strategic plan is like 1,200 by summer of next year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Setting big goals for ourselves.
Yeah.
And just chasing them at breakneck pace.
Yeah.
What is the caliber trees in your 7 gallons that you hand out?
About one.
I'll take all of them.
Yeah, he's the technical guy.
I would say they're typically in the 1.5
Okay.
range for a 7. We do 5s. I'll even do 3s. A lot of time it's what can we source from these wholesale nurseries. And if we could find better, more available stock of a lot of the native trees, you can find whatever you want of Asian tree species for whatever reason. But when it comes time to look for just native stuff, it's a lot more restrictive. So we buy a lot from Pender Nursery and Panther Creek Nursery.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Marsh Farm.
Can I ask you to come up to the microphone because, like, from where you're sitting, it's not going to get recorded.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
This
right,
is a
we're
secret answer to the
recorded.
question. 1.5 inches for 7-gallon potted trees. Probably closer to 1 for 5-inch, but we're happy to do those as well. And I think our sweet spot would be 3 to 7 gallon. I'd love a 3-foot, 3-gallon. In theory, the smaller we plant, the better off the tree is long term. The tree gets a better chance to get its roots in the ground, get acclimated to its environment earlier in its life, rather than having the trauma of being potted and then transplanted into the ground. So the bigger you go, the more trauma you're causing. So 15, 25, or certainly those big ball and burlap trees that we're also fond of, those have a really tough time. So you'll notice that a lot of time they start big and then just don't get much bigger, or they grow very slowly. So we like to start on the smaller side of things and let them, they actually tend to outpace the ones that you plant bigger in the first place. So patience is a virtue there.
Yeah, I think Carrie, the ones I tried to look at them, I thought they were maybe a 1/2-inch caliper tree. They're pretty small.
Might be, yeah. And I don't know exactly where they're sourcing those. I'd have to ask Leslie, the urban forester, where they're buying their 5-gallon trees. I'd love to buy more 5-gallon. I typically can only find 7 or 15 in this area, so they might be getting them shipped in from out of state, possibly. Yeah.
Let me suggest this, because our board suggested that the town start a nursery for giveaways. I think, what was that, 18 months ago now? I think it was, and the town is still studying it. But I think that the town manager is going to bring before the council the suggestion in the next meeting or two. I'm not sure. I talked with the town manager. It'd be ideal if you folks could be there, I think, and help us move along, because it's a great opportunity. Basically, it bothers me because we missed 2 cycles of seeds at this point, 2 years worth, basically. And if we fold it over another year,
Yeah.
That's your 3-year tree that we missed.
Right.
Time is of the essence. Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to know what size nursery you have. I ran through the calculations and said, if we did 5-gallon size, we could probably have 5,000 trees on a 1/2 acre if you jammed them before you split them out.
1/2 acre is actually the size lot we're looking at we're very close to signing the agreement with Triangle Land Conservancy out at the Williamson Preserve in eastern Wake there. So we're working on getting a half acre out there that we can use as our tool shed and tree nursery area. Right now, our nursery area is my yard, so it is not a lot of space, and we're certainly not at the point where we're growing our own trees, which is why we're purchasing all of our, all of our stuff from wholesale nurseries where we can get decent prices, but it's even cheaper if you can grow your own, obviously. So we'd love to move toward that point, or at least buy from somebody else who's doing it right here locally. If you had your own nursery and sold
I
to the
hope you
public,
can
I'd buy
participate.
from you.
I hope you could participate with the town, because there's a park out in New Hill that has an area that might well be adapted for a half acre of tree growing. And of course, the town is concerned about costs, and you folks might be able to work a program with the town that would benefit everybody. And I think the beauty of doing it in a park is that people come to the park all the time, and you don't have to transport them anyplace. You can give them away right at the park. They can drive right up and take them. So there's an advantage there.
That's a good idea.
I'd buy trees off of you at a profit if it helps pay for your nursery. If
Well,
I
if
could
we do it
if I could
right-
source more native species, that's the thing. Is like if you all could start growing the trees I can't find anywhere, then it's not like you're competing with these other wholesale nurseries. You're not cutting into their business because they won't sell me the some of the species I'm looking for anyway. So I'd love to support that. This
think we might
is a good
be-
opportunity for us to learn more about what you all have kind of already in the works too. So we wanted to, share what we're up to, but we want to know what
And
you're up to as well.
And I'll add to the nursery idea too. I found out recently that the reason so many nurseries won't do native is because they make most of their money off patented seeds, and so it doesn't really, it's not profitable for them to do native species. So if it were something the town did, wow, you're really promoting something wonderful that you're filling a niche.
Mhm.
That's a good idea.
Well, there's one more aside. I work with Project Pando and collect
Okay,
nuts
yeah.
and things.
There you go.
We love
I'm
them.
not a great nut collector.
Yeah.
I have been involved. I'm going to see how many. I'll have to get your card, because I mean, I don't have any exciting species. I have red and white oak and hickory. I wanted to do beech, but my beech tree failed me this year.
Yeah.
So afterwards, I don't want to take everybody's time. I'd like to talk with you.
We're here.
We're here.
Yeah.
Suggestion for both groups.
Yeah.
I used to be on the Wake County Energy Commission, and whenever they build a new library, school, or whatever, they're using landscapers versus people like yourselves to help plant native species, to help bring more birds and such in. You might want to get on their calendar sometime.
That'd be great. Yeah, because landscapers can make a beautiful lawn.
Oh yeah.
I'm on
I'll
the
just-
commission
I'll just
right
say
now,
that.
so I'll help you.
I'll just say that. Yeah, we'd love to be a vendor for a lot of these government organizations. I understand that you all have an environmental center in the works. Is that under construction yet? Or going under
Not
construction
yet,
soon,
it's,
I
it's
think,
in
right?
design.
I saw some lovely digital drawings of it. You're gonna need some trees there, I hope. So hope you'll keep us in mind for that. I think you've got a lot of cool things coming up. A Wake Tech campus, if I'm not mistaken. Possibly a children's hospital coming in. Possibly, whether you all like it or not, possibly a data center. They're gonna clear a bunch of woods out for us, so hopefully they'll do a little tree planting back to make up for that. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for tree planting, either to bolster beautiful projects like a children's hospital, or to at least negate some of the harm from projects that maybe we don't love as much.
Let me suggest one other thing. If you can work with Department of Transportation, 20 years ago I worked with them, and we planted some trees out on the Highway 64. Now they're actually taller than me. But they were very nice to work with, and you know, I go driving down the highway and I see all of these mowed fields, you know, the size of football fields over and over and over again. Very costly. Eons ago, like 20 years ago when I was looking at it, it was $14 million a year they were spending for mowing. And to me, you might, well, you know more about trees than I do actually, but you don't necessarily need to plant a tree. You need to plant a seed in these areas. And the other thing is I go down the highway and if you look off to the side and you see a bunch of planted trees and it's a AutoCAD array. And the poor suckers that put it in have to get out there with their tape measures and it looks like a farm. You don't need a farm.
Yeah, we don't do that. We go for a specifically
Yeah.
random looking
Yeah,
field,
exactly.
so it's more
And
natural.
seeds really make it random.
Yeah, so
and-
pocket forests like that, or you can do just from seedlings on up.
Yeah,
Or
and that's what we did seedlings, and I go by the place now, and you can't tell the difference. The birds brought in a bunch of seeds, and I did one, and it's interesting. You said if you plant the big one, it doesn't grow that well. Okay, well I did an experiment. I had a big one, and I put it out there when we planted all the seedlings, and you can't tell the difference. You know, probably the little one is the big one that I planted. I don't know, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
But talk to Department of Transportation. They were easy to work with. They were really, really, and if they look at it and say, I can save, after this whole thing gets done and done economically, $10 million a year, and it's environmentally friendly at long
Don't
last.
forget the town also has road right of way as well. I mean, which might be.
Yeah, but the town's harder to work with.
Those guys.
There's also limits because of the underground utility infrastructure that's in those rights of ways. So we've looked at that more than once, you know, for our own tree planting program. The challenge with road right of ways is the underground infrastructure.
Yeah, or the sewer right of ways and things like
Right.
that. I tried to get it to plant just plants on it even, and that was difficult. Yeah, trees you can't plant.
So how much space, like, typically is, I mean, I know obviously it depends on the tree, but generally, when you're looking at a site and you're evaluating how many trees and how much space do we need, how much do you need, and what are you looking for?
Big fat, it depends on that one. But I mean, in an open space, I'd love to see at least like 100 trees per acre. If you know, if you've got a big expanse that you're trying to fill in. But I come from a background of planting in right of ways when Raleigh had their Neighborhoods program, so I'm not too scared of planting in tight spaces either. It is always about the right tree in the right place. But you know, I've planted in 3-foot strips between the curb and the sidewalk many times. I love a big open space where they can sprawl a little bit more too. So it just kind of depends, and then that might be species specific, or you know, we kind of break our trees that we plant into small, medium, or large maturing. How big is it going to be eventually? They're all about the same size when we plant them, but some of them are going to top out at 20 feet and some of them are going to top out at 120 feet. So it's just about picking the right thing and thinking kind of 4-dimensionally.
Yeah, are you designing for sort of that long-term stratification, like to sort of mimic a forest and get forest dynamics going on once, 50 years from now, it's
100%.
recruiting itself versus you guys are
Yeah.
going to come back in and maintain it a whole lot?
Yeah, so in the urban setting, if I'm planting near homes or near a street or between a curb and a sidewalk, I'm thinking about all those limitations, not just now, but 20 or 100 years from now. And then I would really love to give you all a tour of the Cary Tree Archive, because we're doing exactly what you just said, where we're planting, interspersing understory, midstory, and overstory trees together so that they can stratify and fill out each layer of that canopy as they grow up and fill in. So open invite. Would love to have you all out. It's a nice 8-acre property out there. It's HOA owned, actually, but the Cary Greenway runs right through it. The White Oak Creek Greenway splits it in half, basically. So it's kind of an interesting intersection of town-owned property, HOA-owned property. But yeah, we've done a lot of things out there we'd love to show you for sure.
Yeah, I'm really upset that the area that we looked out is not in Apex proper. It's actually in Fuquay. It's the Optimus Farm site.
Oh, sure.
It's the perfect place, but the town can't have any official collaboration with that. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be great if we could continue to look for a site or.
Mhm.
You know,
Doesn't have
take
to
a
be
while,
8
but-
acres. You know, we'll take 2. You know, if
Yeah.
you got a little pocket somewhere that you want to fill in with a cool project, we're always looking for more spaces, and we get volunteer groups asking us for volunteer opportunities all the time, whether it's sororities or Boy Scouts or corporations doing work days and things. So we're always looking for more spots to plant.
Well, and I also know for Earthfest, I think you guys are planning to attend this year, right?
We
in
will be
April?
there. We will be there.
Usually, like our town arborist, we do an Arbor Day planting, but we'll plant like a couple trees, like 1, 2, 3 trees.
Mhm.
It would be great maybe if we could collab and plan a bigger planting event around Earthfest or maybe that day. Just something to keep in mind. It's a couple months away, but
Yeah,
something to
that's.
think about.
I need at least 2 weeks notice. And
Yeah.
we can plant wherever or whatever. That sounds good.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. With Arbor Day, you have a great Plant the Peak, right? Is the name of the program, and you're doing how many trees a year with that?
I don't know the official
Just a few.
number.
A few hundred?
Yeah, I think it's a couple hundred.
Yeah, it's not huge, but
Yeah.
you know, and I'm glad you bring that up because I see a lot of alignment with what you guys are doing in our Plant the Peak program,
Mhm.
right? And especially if we start factoring in the idea of a larger nursery, right, that Apex might own or might even make available to you, right? The
Yeah,
wheels are turning, right? And
Sort
so
of feed that project.
right, and so we can do
Actually
more
lower
and,
the
and-
costs.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And the cost is in digging the holes, right? Sending crews out and you know digging the holes and planting. But if you know we rely more on plant giveaways, right, where residents
Right.
do their own planting. I think there's some alignments we can find and then look at you know things like Arbor Day or Earth Day or Think Apex Day, right, where we have kind of these volunteer projects throughout town, you know, to do tree plantings. You know, there's a lot of alignment that we can find here.
Yeah, we'd be happy to help kind of bolster that program. And I will say, I mean, we occasionally will do a giveaway when somebody's paying, right? Happy to do almost anything for a $10,000 check, right? But when it comes to giving away trees. But we do, when we're planting trees, I'm on site almost all the time. For now, I'll start relinquishing a little bit of that control, but I supervise all of our volunteers and staff for now, so that we know they get planted where they're supposed to be and they get done properly. So we'll try and kind of continue that tradition of somebody who knows what they're doing supervising tree planting, because with Neighborwoods, it was about a 50-50 between whether we would plant or whether we would just drop off the tree at the home. And then we'd come back a few years later and was the tree there at all? Was the tree in the backyard instead of the front yard? It was a big gamble. And so I'm just a little bit of a control freak when it comes to, I know our survival rate stays higher when a certified arborist either does the planting or at least directly supervises it. So if you wanted to add an option for people to get help with their trees getting planted, especially with maybe elderly or disabled folks who can't pick up and plant their own tree, maybe we could start there with helping to do some planting with our volunteers and staff there too.
At the last Earth Day, we gave away 15 maple trees in 1 gallon pots, but nevertheless, you know, and maybe half of those didn't make it.
Mhm.
But the nice thing it was 1 gallon pot, and there wasn't huge investment. It's kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, you can take a bigger swing and a bigger gamble with
Smaller.
lots and lots of tiny, very cheap trees. That's for sure. I don't mind that as much. Yeah.
Just a question about funding, because I do think that the town of Apex from time to time sends developers your way, right? Because we do require tree replacement, and if they cannot do it on site, we often ask for a donation. I think it's to Trees for the Triangle, if I'm not mistaken.
We very much appreciate that, by the way.
So, all right, just want to make sure that was you guys.
Yeah.
Originally, though, when we started looking at the nursery, the town had the program of giving away trees. It was a $100,000 budget, and we gave away 133 trees. You
Yeah,
recall that?
that's Plant the Peak, I think. That's where we.
It's changed
right.
now,
Okay.
but apparently there was overhead. I don't know what the whole deal is, but that was $750 a tree. And we did that through
I can beat that.
Leaf and Limb.
Okay.
Leaf and Limb. And they were required to follow up for 2 or 3 years to make sure that the tree survived. And I guess that was part of the cost of the $750. But if you can get into smaller trees, then you can, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the objective of going to a nursery. If you can do it within the town staff. We have an arborist, and with you guys, I think we could do it really inexpensively and get a lot more trees out. I know Cary, I think they handed out 1,000 trees at Arbor Day.
Yeah, buying in bulk, doing one drive-through event. They keep
Yeah,
their costs
drive-through,
pretty low that way, and we were involved in their IRA grant. We were going to plant 3,000 trees with that and give away, I think, another 9,000 or so. That all got,
You have to get
that
in
rug got
thousands.
pulled, but we're going to keep planting trees out there. But that does bring me to the point you talked about funding. We're very open to like co-applying or subcontracting under a grant application if the town ever is interested in applying for any bigger dollar grants. We're happy to sign on to a tree planting program as long as it's planting native trees. That's within our purview. So, we've worked with Cary. We did get some trees planted before the funding got pulled, and we're working with Raleigh on a potential tree planting campaign. And so we've loved working with Orange County, Wake County. So partnerships make the world go round. So if there's anything that you all are ever interested in putting together, we could work with this board, the town staff, whoever wants to kind of be in charge of that and work together. It's always lends some legitimacy when a municipality or a county government says we want this funding because we're going to do it versus a nonprofit. Not that we're not legit, but we're not the biggest organization. As we mentioned, there's 4 of us on staff. So, partnering with a town is always a leg up, I think, on grant applications.
I think the town is responsible for doing the center part of 64, where 64 goes through. I think the town committed to that a long time ago. It'd be interesting to know because we're mowing it now. And we got it from the Department of Transportation because they said, well, we'll plant a bunch of trees and then you take it over. Well, the token tree is about once every quarter mile that they planted, and then the rest is still mowing.
Right.
So I think that's something to look at for the town.
I don't think that's. It's something to consider. Like I'm not dismissing it, but 64 is going to get widened the next couple of years, so that whole roadway is going to be torn up, and so depending on where they're going to widen the road, right? I don't want to go plant stuff now only to see it torn up in a couple of years.
And that's for sure. I was talking about the center area though, and maybe
right, but if they're going to widen the road by going more towards the center, right? Now whatever center remains, right after the widening project, obviously that's something that we can consider and look at, but.
When we took it over was 20 years ago.
I wasn't there for that. So.
You weren't here?
No. Sorry, Bill.
Middle school. Yeah. Well, we don't have a history of standing in front of bulldozers to stop progress, so-called, but we're definitely happy to do a lot of our work when the dust settles. So if that kind of ends up getting widened and then they've figured out that this is where it's going to be for a while, we're happy to help come through and be the I think of ourselves as kind of battlefield medics, just scurrying around, stopping the bleeding where we can, planting trees in very hot areas. So we're happy to keep that going.
All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Amazing work.
pleasure. Thank you.
Was this yours?
Yeah.
There we go.
right, y'all, and that's it for our presentations, and that's the end of our agenda for tonight. So, we have to motion to adjourn?
You need a motion?
I don't know if we need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Just-
All right.
All right.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much. And do not forget, we do have a regular meeting coming up next Thursday. Yes.
I'll make sure it isn't Tuesday.